Hi, Tom back again with another video in our series on Photoshop, and here we're going to create what we did in class in the last session, and I'm just going to go up to my file menu and choose new. You won't actually see that file menu in this particular screen. I'm on a Macintosh here, and I've got it as a preset web, and I'm just choosing this 1024 by 768 preset, which is not critical really here, but we want something with reasonable kind of resolution. And so that's just created a white background here to work on, and I want to choose this tool here, this rounded rectangle tool. Now with that tool selected, I can see up in the options here I've got a radius of 10 pixels. That might be just a little bit narrow around the corner, so I'll change that. I think we used 35 when we were doing this in the session, and then I'll just click and drag to form. Oh, actually, I won't just yet. I'll cancel that. I'll choose a foreground color for this rectangle because it's automatically going to fill this of a mid-gray, lightish. Well, yeah, a little bit lighter than mid-gray maybe. And I'll click and drag to form a rectangle, a rounded rectangle. And so that's got us the rectangle we want. In the paths palette, I'll just switch to the paths palette. You can see it's got that shape there, but we want to actually save a path here, so I'll just call it path 1. I think in the version of this is Photoshop CC, and the version we were using in the class session, it was Photoshop CS6, which actually automatically did change the name of that path to path 1. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to create a new layer for our rim, and we'll click on the layer panel, create a new layer here. We'll call it rim. That's just double clicking on the layer name and giving it a name, and then we'll go back to our paths here, and now we want to get a brush. We want to choose a brush that's going to give us a size that's suitable for the rim. So I'm going to downsize the brush by using my left square bracket key to what looks like a good size there, and that looks pretty good. And I'll just choose a slightly darker gray here, so click on the foreground color. That's lighter actually. I'll just make it slightly darker, and now this is setting up the brush, because we're going to stroke this path with the brush. So I'm in my paths panel here, and this I'll just pull this up here so we can see more clearly. This little icon down the bottom it says stroke path with brush. So I've made a new layer for the rim. Now I'm going to click on this to stroke that path, and we have a new path in there. And if I click outside of the path there, you can see that it's just got a kind of fuzzy edge one. So I'm going to undo that brush. I'm going to step back a couple here, and I'm going to go back to my brush settings again. So I'll click on my brush settings here, and instead of having a soft edge brush, I'll have a completely hard edge brush. That would look a little bit better. In fact, I'll downsize it a bit too. I'll make it about 14 pixels. And now if I go back to my paths here, switch the path on and stroke it again, now we're getting more of what we want. I'll just click outside there, put that path panel back in its dock, and go to my layers. And so we've got this rim here, and now we want to actually go up to layers, layer style, and I want to go to bevel and emboss, and I'll just pull this into our screen here so I can change the settings here. You can see already it's looking more like a rim there. I might just no, I'll leave it exactly as it is there. That should be fine. Okay, so we're still doing this is a raster version of that. So we've got the two things we need there now for we need a hole in the rounded rectangle for a chain to go through. So I'm going to go to my my vector tools again, and this time I'm going to choose the ellipse tool, and to create a hole in the rounded rectangle, I've selected that correct layer. Hold down my option key, and you can see a minus come up on the cursor there, and if I hold down my shift key as I'm forming this circle, it actually creates a hole in the rounded rectangle. So we've got what we want there. The only thing is this doesn't look like it's now got any depth to it, so I want to put that same bevel and emboss kind of thing in the rounded rectangle. So I'll simply hold down my option key on the Mac. It will be your Alt key on the PC, and drag these effects onto that rounded rectangle there, and you can see those effects have been applied there now too. They look a little bit too affected, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on the bevel and emboss settings here and just make that size slightly smaller, make it look a bit more realistic, and maybe bring down the opacity of that that thing there. So I'll bring that in fact down a little bit more. Okay, so that doesn't look too bad. So we're making ground here. I'll just minimize these effects here so we can see more clearly what layers we've got. And so we've got the background, the rounded rectangle, and the rim. And now we want to make I'll deselect the visibility on the background, and I'll tell it we want to put some type in there. That's right. So the next thing we do is go to the type tool, click in the rectangle where we want to put the type, and you can see it automatically makes a new layer there. And I'll put my name in there. I'll just leave it with the colors we've already got. Now this is obviously extending beyond the tag, so I need to select all this, Command A on the Mac, Control A on the PC, and if I hold down my Shift and Command keys or Shift and Control keys on the PC, and then hit the less than key or the comma key, I can bring down the size of that type to a point where it fits, and then I'll just move it into position here, so on the tag, and then I'll put a number underneath. So I'll just hit my Enter key to put a new line in there and put a random number in there. And now it looks a bit bland right now, but if I now go to a position, I'm just clicking to position it there. I've gone back to my move tool, notice, and now I'll again hold down my Option key and click and drag the effects onto that as well. And we've got that bevel and emboss effect, but I'm double clicking on bevel and emboss, and this time instead of it being, say we've got direction up, I'll make it direction down, and we'll see if we can make this look more realistic here. So I'll just bring that's a bit better. So I brought that size down a little bit. Okay, now with that set up like that, we're I think we're going to need a second video. So we've got to that point. I'm going to combine all those three layers now into one layer, and to do that I hold down, I'll just get my layer panel up here so you can see this better. Hold down my Option key and Alt on the PC, hold down the contextual menu there and say merge visible, and because I've held that key down now, I've got a new layer with all those things combined, so I can switch off the other layers, and in fact I'll put them in a group together. So I'll make a new layer, a new folder rather, so I'll click on the folder icon this time and call that tag bits, and then I'll drag that down underneath the new layer I've created with the combined stuff and put each of these bits into that folder, and then if I twirl that little arrow there, that gets them all out the way, and this is combined tag. So I've got a combined tag. Okay, I'll finish that video there and we'll do another one to do the rest of it.